Dzień dobry Państwu w takim razie. Z małym opóźnieniem wywołanym ożywioną dyskusją na panelu, której tutaj część Państwa też słuchała. Zaczynamy panel dotyczący startupów rolniczych. Ja się nazywam Bartosz Paszcza, na co dzień pracuję w polskiej firmie produkującej satelity, co wydaje się być może odległą działką, natomiast tylko pozornie, bo oczywiście dzisiejsze rolnictwo z danymi
Today's agriculture based on satellite data is one of the main clients apart from the military sector and the state. So I have the great honor having very interesting guests here on the stage who will tell us about their own experience about utilizing technology, creation of startups and supporting the whole ecosystem, enabling startups to appear. And I would very much like conversation, dialogue with the audience. I will do my best not to wait till the end. After the first, second question, we will make a space. So please, by all means, think about what you want to ask our speakers about. And Kacper, Dach, co-creator of Agro contracts ecosystem from sensors through to IT tools helps in agro market. Thank you. Well, it's a pleasure to talk to you, ladies and gentlemen. Professor Tomasz Blech, congratulations. Professor of Agricultural University in Kraków, member of Green Solutions and Modern Solutions for Agriculture. Yes, good afternoon. And Mr. Łukasz Kopiński, President of the Board of RIBES Technologies on autonomous growing of berries and decision-making in spraying, and owner of over 400 hectares of berries. Ms. Oliwia Myczkowska, founder of Be Healthy Honey, which elaborated an emitter fighting virosis.
Dzień dobry, dziękuję za
Good afternoon, thank you for the invitation.
Pan Paweł
And Mr. Paweł Harycki, last but not least,
Ecosystem Manager VIT Food.
Ecosystem Manager VIT Food,
Partnerów w pracy w ramach organizacji.
involves partners in work within organization and supporting startups in organization of food production with a stress of sustainable business models. Good afternoon and thank you for invitation.
I dziękuję Państwu za udział. Tutaj jeszcze
I would also like to thank you for participation. Well, a noise from the outside will last for a moment, but let me start from substantial detail. Startups are a trendy word, lots of trendy slogans. But you have unique experience that either you yourselves run a startup, or you are utilizing startup technologies, or you are supporting those. So please give me an interesting example on how these startups are changing today. What is their influence on agricultural activities, and what a change results from them when we grow plants or breed animals. So who first? Maybe let me start. In the context of our startup, the first thing was application for settlement of accounts with employees, and the thing which was very pleasant in the feedback we got from our clients was that one of the ladies who were using our applications had 30-40 seasonal workers on strawberries, and year on year settlement of accounts was not matching, because, you know, an employee comes and employees specify a number of baskets collected. They say they collected a different, producer says it was different, and this year for the first time they had a situation where everything matched. So such simple things, but it's nice to hear that. And well, how did you make it match?
pomagaliśmy w rozliczeniach.
Well, we simply helped them in settlement of accounts. Employees had our badge. The employer had application helping in calculations, and employees knew that there was some external body holding those records. It was not in a notebook at the producers at home where employees had no insight. It was outside the producer, so they knew the producer would not change anything, and on the other hand, the producer knew that these settlements were accurate. Great, thank you.
Może ja jeszcze?
So maybe me,
Za ten
maybe I add, sorry for my voice, but
Na naszym stoisku
from
prezentujemy
morning I have been presenting the solution at our exhibition stand, which has such an impact on agriculture that we reduce application of pesticides by 50%. It is our main impact, but besides that we have a device doing these things. It is an electric device, and well, pain in living in the country in spring,
wydźwięk wykonywanych
there is noise of sprayers because sprayers make a lot of noise. Our vehicle is electric driven, and all this is much quieter, and we have a visual detector. It is our important tool helping us to obtain 50% of reduction. Well, you know, driving through fruit bushes, we gather image from cameras and we send a signal to the sprayer. If the camera can see pests and effectiveness is at the level of 73% now. So this impact is in place, and gradually we have better and better perception in rural areas among orchard owners who understand the problem of using too great amount of pesticides, and now regulations are such that no remnants should remain. So our technology, we want it to be helping in it.
Dziękuję. To może
Great, thank you. So
po kolei skończymy trzeci przykład.
maybe in turn we end the third example of startups and we switch over to ecosystem. So Oliwia, if you could tell us about your product. Of course, I will tell you in a moment, but before that, let me ask your attention that my wonderful co-founder is here, my grandpa, Professor Surowiec,
który zresztą tą technologię ma na krześle obok. Więc
has this technology in the chair next to him. So let us present it then. Thank you very
to
much.
małe urządzenie,
This little device is our varia stopper tool, which thanks to ultrasound is fighting varroa destructor parasite attacking bee families.
problem
The problem of pesticides is also reflected in bee industry because
dla pszczół. Także
they
tutaj
are a serious problem for bees. So I'm confirming that the idea of the other startup is very important here, but what we are doing
stanowimy taką
is we
ekologiczną.
form an ecological alternative for various types of chemicals. And the question was about what we are doing, how we are developing the technology, how we are developing agriculture, in our case, bee industry. But the general goal of the panel is encouraging for entrepreneurship. So I will take the opportunity to say that me and my grandpa are a bit atypical examples regarding starting activities in business. We started as really an intergenerational duo. I was 15 years of age, my grandpa over 70, so it is doable. And I believe that this panel, I hope that this panel will show that you can do it independent of age. Thank you.
Chciałem do tego nawiązać później.
I wanted to refer to it later, but I wanted to say that average age was absolutely at the age of a typical founder of a startup. Tomek, you started.
Nic nie szkodzi. Kobiety mają pierwszeństwo.
Well, women first, and we had an opportunity meeting at an event at President's Palace in May last year within the initiative by President. Startups at the Palace where various technologies and startups were represented related with this
Natomiast
sector.
jeżeli chodzi o to, czym ja się zajmuję,
Whereas what I am involved in is, apart from developing this ecosystem, startup ecosystem,
uczelniach,
which is present at universities, develops ideas in the form of economic activities. That means establishing a spin-off or spin-out company. So we are developing the first company which resulted from work within incubator of innovativeness 2.0. At our university is Hugo Green Solutions company developing two technologies. One is applying light to seeds before sowing, so physical protection of plants with or treating seeds, and autonomous robot to do field work, but also for collecting data and collecting fertilizer need and the need for various
też jakby ta
means,
technologia służy do
and
tego, żeby
this
ograniczać
technology is
chemizację
used
rolnictwa.
also to reduce chemization of agriculture. In this case, the plant protection chemicals application, and this was our first company which was established at the university in this formula. And in the meantime, I will tell you later about it, what is the fate of this type of activities originated at the university, and then trying to develop our concept. Well, let me highlight that the company exists till now. So a positive story, great.
Jako ktoś, kto patrzy na...
Somebody who looks at the whole ecosystem, you have examples of implementations, but I am curious on what ideas you come across, which you later support. Yes, I have a few examples I wanted to mention right away, but to start from the beginning, 80 Food, at least this is in our corporate presentation. The first slide is we are the largest community of innovators in the world, and probably in food. And probably this is the case because in our network there are 200 partners, and over the recent 3 years, about 1,500 startups actually went through our system. So we are active, and we want it to be developing because we very strongly believe that the global problems which are present in food market or agriculture, it is not possible for one entity to solve it. It is always a form of cooperation and partnership, and e-food and partnership groups, over close to 200 partners who are trying to solve global problems. We are active based on triangle of knowledge, where there is university education and research institutions and startups.
Staramy się łączyć i sieciować tych ludzi,
And we tend
żeby
to be
te ich rozwiązania
connecting and networking those people so that their solutions have true influence on agriculture, on production of food,
niwelowanie ilości chorób, gdzie to
and reducing number of
do tego, jak
diseases. So
działamy.
very holistic approach to how we act. We have the whole series of startup programs
Na różnym poziomie rozwoju.
at various levels of development, even such which have been made for people who want to make a startup and they don't have an idea, so they get support from us at various levels of development. Things we would like to post about
który
is
skorzystał
our
z kilku naszych programów, z Seedbeda, z Jumpstartera, prawda? I tak. I Test Farms, więc to jest na pewno to i liczymy, że będzie firma Łukasza z nami rosła w czasie. Mamy bardzo kilka
over time. We have a few examples of companies which were startups and now they are our official partners and are more and more active in community.
na
For example,
Piferentech. Brali udział w programach startupowych.
company
oficjalnym
who participated in
i to jest
startups, and this is a company from Poland,
firma Hooked Foods,
or
też
Hooked
brali
Foods. They also participated in our programs, for example,
i
Food
od tego
Accelerator
czasu zebrali
Internet,
6 milionów euro
since then they
na swoje projekty i
collected
są
6 million euros
partnerem, więc
financing for their project, and they are
może nie jest naturalny proces,
our
ale
partner. It's not maybe a natural process, but we hope for
partnerów
this
pochodzących ze startupów będzie
increase
coraz
of
większy.
partners originating from startups will be greater and greater.
Zadam jeszcze jedno pytanie.
Perfect. Let
Bardzo
me ask
chętnie
one more
usłyszę
question, and then
publiczności.
I will very gladly hear the opinion from the audience. And please get
Ale
ready.
chciałbym zapytać jeszcze o początki startupów.
I would like to ask about the beginnings of startups, and here, Paweł, I will
Wspieracie właśnie te
want
początkowe
to
wyzwania.
connect with programs you support, those initial challenges, or what other support programs are needed. The beginnings, because startup, establishing a company is a bold decision, so I congratulate on this. To all of you. Some people insist, first of all, you need an idea. Others, you need people. You establish the thing with to be able to act. Others say that finance, money is needed first of all, and this is the first obstacle. So what was, in your case, a pin which made you think it was worthwhile to establish the company? And now, looking at the place you are in, and looking at companies which are active and which are developing, what, in your opinion, was of key importance? One key thing which resulted in the first steps possible to go from lack of company to existing company. So again, we start from this, and so our story is,
ogólnie spoza rolnictwa, nie jest
I am generally from outside agriculture, with no educational nor family links with agriculture, but I am linked with startup community. So Aula Polska, I met my first future co-founder. We went for a cup of coffee, and actually
z których musiał zrezygnować.
he originated from industry, then studied IT, and then decided to go back to the farm and take up production. When I met Rafał, I was looking for some project. Rafał was thinking about starting e-basket program, e-łubianka, and I had the whole traceability system presented through the first year. It was a project where we were only analyzing the opportunities. We were showing our idea to producers. So we went to a group of our recipients and we asked them, what do you think of it and what do you want? In the second season, people appeared to like it. Application was made. We had producers, and this season we will be normally selling it, and practically starting next week I'm going to travel in Poland, going from village to village and sell the straps and our application. And it was the beginning, following our development, when we talked to the producers more and more, it appeared that the problems which were to be solved were so vast that we decided we wanted to develop the program, actually from field to table. So on the one hand, partner you established the company with, and on the other hand, talking to partners, to farmers who will be using your idea. I talked to a person who is advisor to startups of various kinds. That person who heard about our experience, because apart from us there is one technical co-founder, said, "Oh, fine. I didn't expect. It happens seldom that a team creating a startup knows the sector so well." And we thought, hey, how come? It should be the case that we have the sectoral insider, because honestly, without Rafał, I personally
bym nie zrobił.
would not make such a good project at the conceptual stage, and these are costs, modifying the finished product. So in my opinion, these are the two things: at least one person in the team knowing the sector, and secondly, talking to the client. Well, I would say, Bartek, you are right. Idea, then people, then money. Idea is not worth a lot, maybe 1 zloty. People are important, and it's people who create a startup. People are to actually add up to one another regarding their skill sets, and people
Startupu przypłyną lub nie przypłyną pieniądze.
make the money come or not come to the team, because if it is a good team
Sobą prezentuje wartość,
presenting a value by itself, not only with the idea but by themselves, then investor is able to believe that they will actually realize the project, that it will not collapse on the way, and that this investment will bring profit to the investor. But Łukasz, you have direct experience in growing, yes, in plants. You needed the solution. You created a product for your own needs. Yes, this is my pain in the neck. I hated sprinting and actually work nights and do this, but this is also a trap, because I have my vision, my template, which I have to be confronting with others on the go, others who have some different needs. And this is good when we have a starting point of this knowledge and background like with me, but then I suggest to confront it not only basing on the experience of your own or your family, but go further on. Who next?
Dobra. To może powiem tak.
So let me put it like this. I think that first of all, it's really, as Łukasz mentioned, these are people really, and actually this initiative which we started, Hugo Green Solution, results from my experience, but also from the experience of the team. We work at Agricultural University in Kraków. In 2015, I had a time in my life when, within the project implemented by the ministry, I had an opportunity to participate in a 2-month internship at School of Business. And there, really, we were working on teams of people from various universities with various competences, but all the time in teams. We learned the teamwork,
Nauczono nas tam też
and we were also taught there,
innej twarzy.
taught that different phase of science, that science is not only basic studies, but also commercialization and Silicon Valley, Mecca of technical solutions, everybody knows. And after returning from there, inspired with these solutions, it appeared there on the spot that quite a lot of those solutions, autonomous or automatics, were related to food and agricultural area, because we should know that the founder of Stanford University was a farmer. He was growing peaches, and as a result of unfortunate story in his life, they had a single son who died. He decided to fund a university to train further generations that would be developing the US. And from this story resulted something like this. But it is related to agriculture, as you see. And you can see that those technologies are created in the US and all over the world related to agriculture and digital technologies. In Poland, at that time, they were not so common, and getting to know individual people and the team that from the moment establishing the startup, it practically remained at about 30% in the same composition. In the meantime, it was getting modified by itself, and all the time, as a result of meetings with official clients, with the markets, it is modified all the time to be better fit for that specific market recipient. So
To nie jest łatwa ścieżka.
it is not an easy path, and definitely if somebody would choose one like this, but if you ask me if I would give it up today, no, because it gives you a lot of experience, and in the meantime,
Ciekawych ludzi można znaleźć.
you may get to know a lot of interesting people from the sector. So great.
Ale na szczęście
I was afraid you would say you would give up. No, positive. So now my turn, and I'm very glad that we heard very clearly that of key importance is knowing the sector, and it's best to start from the need. With us, it was the case.
Spotkaliśmy się z
In Katowice, we met the problem of Varia destructor parasite, and as we were not satisfied by the solutions currently present in the market, so from this need we started, and we were trying. We were making prototypes, and right away we moved over to practical experience. It needed a lot of time to create this final version, final product.
podkreślę to, że
But let me highlight the fact that it's good to start right away and create everything in practice. But regarding what is most important at the starting point, I would put it a bit differently, because I would say that attitude is most important. And here I mean to be ready for various challenges, to have inner stubbornness, because creating a startup is not an easy thing. And, I started creating a startup when I was 15, but everybody is actually doing it blindly and learning by doing. I earlier didn't have any bigger business experience, but it was successful, and we have been operating for the second year already. As a company, we are practically registered. It will be 1.5 years. So I believe that personal features, readiness to cope with the challenges and to cope with a great number of negative opinions, and coping with the very fact that you have to adapt your idea, you have to be flexible, is most important, because with such openness, you can always find people, appropriate people, you can find funds. But I think the personal features are most important now. Okay, great.
zaraz oddam ci głos, ale
Paweł, the floor will be yours in a moment, but an additional question, because I understand you will be saying how you wanted to.
ja tylko wystawiam piłkę.
I'm just giving you a chance, because if I were in the audience or considering establishing a startup in agriculture, I would think how to find those people, how to lead the first steps. Well, actually, your company is very active in supporting ecosystem. So from people to solutions, you have. So it will be a wrap-up from me, but we have a lot of programs. Of course, calls open up in various times. In February, we ended a call for 3 main programs: Silver Incubator and Rising Food Start. So generally, all programs we have were based on a form of subject form, and getting to partners who might be interested in solutions worked out by the startups. And this benefit of being in Poland or in our region is the fact that we have programs dedicated to our region for companies which are here now or in Central European countries. We have a lot of programs in creating teams like Challenge Labs, or Team Up, and programs supporting women in agriculture, like
agriculture, mamy też
EVA, agriculture and testing farms. Very soon we will open calls for sales booster. So during the year, it is a cycle when further opportunities open up. So I suggest you watch our web pages and social media because everything is there. And for sure, when I looked at LinkedIn, often people from this that they have AIT, some reference to AIT programs they participated in. Apart from startup programs, we have educational programs where we tend to improve competences or modify competences, internship programs for master degree graduates, and it's hard to wrap it up in a few sentences. So I refer to the web page and social media, all what you have in various programs, but we also have programs joining various communities of technology and innovation. And recently I was at a workshop regarding AIT Jumpstarter, one of these initiatives, and there, quite bluntly, people who participated in the program said what the greatest benefits were. The first one was that all the time you are in touch with people who are in a similar situation to yours. So if a crisis comes down on you, you don't know what to do, you can always talk to people who have the same problem. They got stuck with their work, they lost motivation. So it's a very big support, mental support. Psychological, you get it immediately, you are in the same situation. So apart from financial incentives and building the team, very often these are young people who have less life experience, and for sure this is significant. And the second thing is this European perspective that you participate in IAT programs. You not only look at the region, country, but you right away have the European perspective, which is translated onto further plans. And the third thing, that IIT graduates have it a bit easier because thanks to our office spread all over Europe, our partnership managers, they can get to partners much easier, partners who may be looking for this type of solutions in their businesses or offer ready-made solutions.
Ja na swoje pytanie dostałem odpowiedź.
Great. I got an answer to my question, so I encourage dear audience to ask questions. I have further ones, but maybe you think of something. You are considering a startup, you want to ask some more.
Jest, proszę, ręka w górę. Już podejdę z mikrofonem.
Dzień dobry, Monika Kowalik.
Good afternoon, Monika Kowalik. I also wanted to congratulate you on the success of the stage you are on, because there are lots of challenges ahead of you. But if you were so kind, you partly presented some questions which appeared. Maybe you would be able to reduce the number of failures in startups, which somebody might be planning, the so-called fuck-up story. So you are doing fine, let it stay as it is, but maybe you can actually make us more familiar with problems which are encountered on the way, and you reduce the things which actually are a nightmare for those who are planning a startup. Very good question, thank you. Maybe one more question before we move on to an answer, if somebody would like to ask. Thank you, Mirek Raban. My question is about validation of the technology. How very important an element it was, and how long did it take? How much it helped in your implementation of the project?
Super, dziękuję bardzo. Czyli dwa pytania. Po pierwsze, tak zwane
Great.
fuck-up story, czyli co poszło nie tak?
True. Two questions. The first one, fuck-up story. What went wrong, and how did you cope with it or not? And secondly, how long validation of technology took, and what it looked like in your case. So out of cases, difficult cases with us,
Taka sytuacja, że akurat
It was a situation that actually
no nie do końca
agreement we made not quite fully covered the whole scope. Therefore, the company actually had a big slip in time with implementation, and they had a possibility to withdraw, with subcontractor. Yes, but you managed to do it by building relations. And here I also suggest to build relations with every entity. It is very important because then you communicate with each other at a different level, and in such case it's difficult for such entity to give up something or not to complete stuff in time. Here it was not fulfilling the obligations, but we succeeded through warm, friendly, emotional contact. We managed to actually speed up completion of what they took up. But there was a moment when it was very poor. It did not actually look very good. It might kill the whole project. It was that important. And regarding second question, so this validation in our case was very important. It was based on laboratory work, on basic tests, whether using light sources we can detect pests, and on top of that we had to actually fit in time to catch winter, then collect the pests, bring them to the laboratory. Krakow University of Technology was helping us, and then they were member of the consortium. But thanks to us having those tests, very reliable, confirming that we have this idea, we got that grant, 1 million euros, and thanks to this we were able to implement the task. And without the stamp from Krakow University of Technology, it would be very difficult. So it is definitely worth making those tests together with scientists from good scientific centers, and I understand soonest possible. Yes, of course.
Podając na to pierwsze pytanie,
So answering the first question regarding fuck-up stories.
życie startupu to życie
Life of a startup is a life of constant successes and failures. Well, successes you have to celebrate, but failures need to have lessons to be learned from them and to develop the technology in the startup. Sometimes it happens that from your own funds you have to actually find money to capitalize the company, to pay all the obligations, the accountant and so on. But it doesn't happen too often, but such situations do happen. And regarding a failure, actually even this morning it appeared, because we had to withdraw from a consortium project because there was too little time available for preparing the application, and as a result of this we didn't want to take up the risk of filing application when the company was pressing on us to file it, but we believed to file it in order to file. It's no success. We wanted to do it successfully. Unfortunately, our decision was that we were withdrawing. We want to work on it more, touch it up, and file it in a later call. Sometimes it does look like this. And regarding validation of the idea, actually preliminary validation lasted for about 1.5 years. Implementation of the first project, the result of which was appointing the company, whereas other technologies which we develop are actually subject to continuous validation because they are based on large databases. So the more data, then the validation is more accurate and the model is more accurate.
fuck-upy zdarzają się.
Fuck-ups do happen in startups practically every day. In one discussion, a co-founder said, fine, triangle, you can do something cheaply, quickly, or well. Choose two. If you want quickly and well, it will not be cheap, and so on. So startup must do it both cheaply and quickly and well, so fuck-ups appear. Well, we must realize what fuck-ups we must not allow to happen. So always making the minimum value for client a product. It may be very simple, maybe not completely worked out, but in our case, it must be our MVP, our first version of the Łubianka application. Always had to have the possibility for the client to see how much product was collected. So imagine somebody is doing settlement for a farm of 40, 50, 100 seasonal workers, and in the middle of the season all the data is removed. For us it would be such a PR crisis that the project could be very well closed. So about fuck-ups, it's worth answering the question what fuck-ups we must not let us have. But how long did we analyze our project? Łubianka was done for about 2 years, from the idea till the moment we are in now. We keep validating it because we are adding further elements like hourly settlement of accounts, but our ecosystem, we are roughly since vacation time last year in the process of validation, and we will keep on doing it for years because we enter hard physics to make it all work.
Ja myślę, że to jest pewnie bardzo
I
oczywiste.
think this is very obvious for everybody that this failure is to some extent fitted into dynamic business like startups. So on the one hand, a failure is a failure, but there's also a chance to change the ideas. So an opportunity which can be made use of. We don't hear a lot of stories about media failures of startups, especially those from behind the ocean, or those who based on rule fake it till you make it. But I don't know how do you evaluate this, but the startup market is not very big. So it also results from the characteristics of validation, because although the process of creating a startup is long, you have to relate it to the cycle of nature, because if there are startups focused on production or analysis of this or other product, then, you know, whether it is spring or autumn, when the product is in greatest bloom and ready for testing, you have to wait for further cycles when the data can be collected. So it's yet another challenge which not everybody understands it, investors in that number. So let me tell you that for sure, one of the questions which was mentioned in that question, how to reduce number of those failures. I believe it is very difficult. You can listen to stories of other founders, and I actually confirm that all agreements in all projects where we have subcontractors is actually part which you have to pay a lot of attention at, but also failures or difficult situations are very often not dependent on us. And honestly, let me mention a difficult situation we faced, because as a startup we obtained quite a lot of media attention. Here we talk of Forbes list and everybody who got interested in us in Poland, but then the third person spread untrue information about us. And please imagine that my face with untrue information on various platforms has thousands, almost 1 million visits, which means that on everyday basis we face a lot of hate, and practically I cannot appear on the internet to avoid a few comments which hit me. I even got several threats. So it is a thing that many startups can cope with it, because we creating a solution, I'm not talking of my personal situation, but generally creating a solution which is innovative, very often we enter sectors which have other traditions, they are used to certain solutions, so we must actually cope with criticism because we are new. And secondly, we have competitors and many unfavorable groups, so I think generally such situations related to hate and spreading untrue information may affect a larger group. We are not giving in. We know that we will manage to cope with it, and although we are in the course of the situation, I am calm and I am certain of the fact that we will go out of this with a smile, and we will show all the more, we will show more proof that our technology is safe. We will show more studies. So honestly, I'm enthusiastic about this, and I'm glad that we will be able to show more proof on how our technology is working. And I think this is how we have to approach all these difficulties, what my predecessor mentioned, to see the good sides and try to see what we may take out from this difficulty, what we can learn, and these situations can really strengthen us.
Po pierwsze współczuję tobie, Oliwia, hejtu, a pozostałym...
Well, firstly, sorry, Oliwia, for all the hate and all the fuck-ups. But I have not heard of anybody succeeding without these. And about positive approach, my last question, and then the floor will be handed over to the audience. So, on the positive note, when you look back at your companies you are supporting and programs you are running, because it is not maybe a program of startup, but of bold, active involvement. When are those days when you get up or go to bed and you decide it was worthwhile? So there are hard days, we talked about them, but what are the days of greatest satisfaction? What was the day when you decided, yes, this is why I'm doing all that?
To może ja spróbuję zacząć.
So perhaps let me try to start.
To było rok temu.
This was a year ago, somewhere around February, when, because I also work at the university, at the Center of Transfer of Technologies, and during a meeting, a colleague is running in and she says, Tomasz, listen, president of Polish Patent Office is calling and wants to talk to you immediately. So I never had a pleasure. I received the call, and he introduces himself, and he says he organizes an event at the Presidential Palace, and we were noticed as a university active in the sector and developing the ecosystem regarding startups related to agriculture and food, and they would gladly see us as a university at that event, and all the startups and spin-ups or spin-outs created at the university. It was a day when I started thinking, what else can be done? Where else can we actually display ourselves so that the activity is appreciated, which we had been developing for 8 years at the university. The beginnings were not easy. Since 2016, I moved to this unit. After PhD, we started working with people. Beginnings were very difficult. People did not understand this direction of development, and often they did not trust this new formula of cooperation, that it would be a partnership cooperation, that we could help them in something rather than being parasite-ish or an administrative worker, that we can be more proactive in this process through creating a little bit of a positive snowball effect. That means showing success of the team. Teams we helped already so that they get to a larger group of recipients, what they are developing, what product they want to implement. And the snowball effect is that now we have 6 spin-off companies established, and further teams are approaching us saying that they want to run this type of activities, but it required 8-9 years of work and a slightly different approach, not like the standard at the university, and the result which told us as a team, well, you cannot do anything alone on your own. It must be a team who will believe in the direction of development. A year ago, it was the moment when we said we did the work which had to be done, we are satisfied by it, and we can continue in the same direction. Great. Oliwia, well, we have a similar experience because for us, startups in the Palace were also an exceptional experience, and all competitions and awards are highly motivating and are a moment which make you as a startup, as a team, feeling appreciated. And what is most satisfactory for me is when I see that our clients are satisfied.
Dostaję zdjęcie z pasieki od naszego klienta, czy kiedy widzę, że mamy następne.
I think I get a photo from the bee company from our client, or that beekeepers in Poland are interested in our product. And I think this is also related to the fact that I do strongly believe in our mission, and I believe that we can help in ecological beekeeping, ethical one, focused on the benefit of bees. And I am motivated by the happiness of my co-founder, who is main creator of the device, because I'm commercializing the main vision of my grandfather. So this idea itself brings a lot of satisfaction to me, and I think this is most important.
Uważam, że to jest bardzo ważne.
I believe it is very important to pay attention to the fact that startup competitions, awards, invitations are important, but most important is satisfied customer is the clue of what we do. I wanted to start this input differently because I wanted to start by saying, okay, there are these fine things, but you have to keep in mind that it happens to be difficult on the average once in 2 months as a form of fighting everyday stress. I keep watching job offers to try and see that if this collapsed, I can find another job, because it may appear that during the nearest half year the project will collapse and I will stay with debts, which I will be paying
To jest
off.
najlepsza przygoda, jaką w życiu doświadczyłem. Jeżeli ktoś
But anyway, I believe it is the best adventure in my life. If somebody told me going back in 2023, Kacper, you are doing it with knowledge how it will end, positively or negatively, I would say yes. In my moment, when I had a wow effect that we were doing a great job, when I did simple calculations, we counted on the average how many packages of various products our clients collected. I calculated how many of those customers, so the result was about 970,000 baskets of strawberries or things. When I imagined 960,000 boxes of strawberries, I thought, fine, this year we plan still more. And as we can see how it all is growing, it really makes you that in spite of a lot of stress and uncertainty of tomorrow, it does the job. So this is a good point for establishing startups in agriculture, because another medium may have a lot of elements you may not see, but here you can touch the baskets of strawberries when you go to the clients. Yes, I also, if I were to do the startup once again, I would. It is an incredible process of learning. It is, of course, learning by chaos because everything is happening there at once. I spent 10 years teaching at the university process management. I got into practice and notes did not work. Well, in a startup, I do refer you to this. This is you feel getting wiser each and every day. And regarding a question of feeling satisfaction, so our grant giver was the Agency of Restructuring and Modernization of Agriculture, and a problem which is there, a durable problem, that within 3 months we have a promise of return of costs borne well after the verification of spending. Well, it lasts longer, and our cash flow ended in the morning and was literally for 2 weeks, and finally with special activities we got the money appearing in the account. So, and as cash flow, having cash flow, I sleep better. Well, I think we are in a very good moment for agricultural startups. When pandemic began, most important people were couriers, shop assistants, simple jobs which had been ignored on an everyday basis. And now, taking into account those challenges which are ahead of us, be it climate or increasing population, so development of agricultural startups and improving intensity of work of agricultural machines, it is of key importance, because even if you look at data of students who graduate from agricultural divisions, our colleague who analyzed such data, to avoid this being data of Institute of Statistical.
Zootechnika 650 studentów. Ogród 130 studentów. Weterynaria 8.
Veterinary 800 students. So actually those professionals will be in short supply. So these solutions are very deep tech. That means they are a necessity now for less people doing more work, to be doing it faster, more accurately, to avoid wasting time for unnecessary things, and also more and more science will be in these startups. So both for you and for the university or for startups, it is a great opportunity that in the nearest future it will turn into still more opportunities. I will actually take this opportunity. Why? It is worthwhile establishing agricultural startups. Well, starting next year, every producer will have to have a digital logbook of production. Well, regardless whether it is good that these regulations are going into force, and now a moment comes for technologies to cope with these situations. It will be an interesting profession to combine this technology with traditional sectors. So right away ideas are put forth for you and for us, and for those who don't have startups. We have time for quick questions from the audience. If somebody has questions, raise your
Tutaj pan
hand.
podnosił? Nie.
Did you raise your hand? No.
Okay. Jeśli nie mamy,
Okay, if we don't have questions, then we'll be able to
opóźnienie oczywiście.
end on time, taking the delay into account. So, firstly, I would like to congratulate you on developing the sector, and through own example, through own company and organization, and thank you for honesty in sharing your experience. And the question here about problems, errors, it was very much to the point, and I'm glad that we could share this experience. So, great thanks to my panelists. Big hand for them.
Dziękuję oczywiście również.
And of course, thanks to you, ladies and gentlemen. Let me invite you to the last round of discussion.